What's going on, traders? In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the rules around top 1 futures. We're going to be taking a look at what you need to do to get a payout, rules that you can't violate, anything that you have to know in order to make sure you make it to a payout or at least stand a chance to. Let's jump straight onto the site. And before we get started, guys, it's important for you to know I am affiliated and partnered with Top 1 Futures. I cannot be unbiased. I stand to make money from this company, from the links in my content, and from code RDF, which I'm going to plug right now. If you want 50% off of your Top 1 Futures account and a chance to win one of 5 50Ks up until April 11th, code RDF, the link in the chat, the link on this video is going to get you that. But it's important for you to recognize that, important for you to know that I cannot be unbiased by the definition that I stand to make money. But I trade this firm myself. I've been trading it live with you guys on YouTube here almost every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Smash subscribe and watch me trade live on these accounts myself. Let's jump right into the rules, see if we can't find what we need to do in order to work ourselves towards a payout. So we are here on the site. This is the homepage of the site. I'm going to scroll down and just go to the basic stuff first, and then we'll dive into the frequently asked questions, which is so important to consider and look through everything if you're considering trading with any firm, right? You have to do your due diligence, understand all of the rules surrounding it, any nuances, things you have to do or not do in order to stand a chance to make a payout, right? You hope that the rules are clear, easy to follow, and that they're all stated, that they're not subjective or anything like that, and that you're aware of them. But it's your job as a trader, as well as mine, to go through everything on the front end. And if you don't know, if you can't find something, ask questions, right? Reach out to customer service, contact their team. So let's take a look at the 150K straight to funded, just in order to make this easy. They do have an evaluation style model where you are taking essentially a challenge, a test, in order to get to that funded account. But for this one, we're going to look just at the instant sim funded deal. We're going to look at the 150K and just kind of talk about the numbers around that. So right off the bat, we can see the price clearly listed. With code RDF, you will get that $3.99. No profit target, obviously, in the funded account, because that's talking about a challenge. But there is a profit target in order to get to a payout. We're going to talk about that. But first, just going down through this list of what's available here, and then we'll jump on to the frequently asked questions. Daily loss limit, $3,750. Now, that's not listed here, but it is a soft breach, meaning that if you hit that $3,750 number, you go down that amount from your opening day, starting at 0, your account is locked out, the position's liquidated until the next day. It's not blown, but you cannot trade anymore on that account. What would kill the account is your trailing max drawdown. You have a $6,000 max drawdown limit. That's your working capital. If you go past that point while you're trading the account is blown. You would have to start from scratch. The drawdown mode, which is really important to note, that's end of day. And here's what that means. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these. And if you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments or hit these guys up themselves, right? Use the customer service. End of day trailing drawdown means that as you move into profit or loss throughout the day, nothing changes. From wherever you started, you have your daily loss limit and your max loss limit. As you close out the session, so let's say you make $1,000 in your 150K account, that trailing max drawdown moves up with you. So now you have $6,000 from that plus $1,000 number on the next day, right? So you have to understand that with these accounts, you have a trailing drawdown, trails with you up into profit. It does not move back down away from you. So as you move up into profit, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, ending the day, that drawdown moves up with you. And you have $6,000 from that point. It's not intraday as you're in trades or as you're closing out trades, but end of every day. Important to note. Max contract size in the 150K, you cannot go over 15 minis or 150 micros. I don't know why you would want to. That's a lot of trading power, a lot of size. The payouts, and we're going to dig into this a little bit. 14 days or any time. And here's what this is. If you do not purchase the anytime payout upcharge, which is 15% of the price of the account, an upcharge of 15% of the starting price of the account, you have a 14 calendar day payout window. From the day that you start trading, the day that you place your first trade, you are not able to take a payout until 14 days, 2 weeks after that. If you do get the add-on bonus there, you pay additional for it because it does cost, you are able to take a payout as soon as you become eligible for a payout following the minimum payout amount and the consistency rule, which we're about to dive into. So those are your two options there on payouts. This one here as well, it's not listed right here. You can remove this for a 25% additional fee of that total. I don't know that most guys would want to do that. Personally, it's not something that I'm going to jump to do, but it's an available option. Why would I not want to do that? Well, if you're standing to lose the entire account in one day and you're working with a consistency rule, you're putting on a lot of risk, right? And unless you're looking to run this account up a massive amount, you might not want to do that. And there's a max payout amount, which we're going to talk about, that would kind of not really make sense to do that. So it's up to the individual. You are able to do that. You are able to do this one down here. I think this is just opinion, provide some flexibility, right? If you don't want to have to wait for that for your first payout or in between payouts, having that add-on is pretty sweet, but totally up to the individual trader. And I personally like how they break that out, right? The whole account isn't more with no daily loss limit and anytime payouts. It's with these two, and you get to decide for yourself whether you want to, pay more to have that flexibility, to have, more capital to work with each day. So the consistency rule is a 20% consistency rule. And there's a lot of questions and confusions around this, but it's very simple. What this rule states is you cannot have one single day of profit be more than 20% of the total profit in your account when you go to take a payout. So, example, as you start trading, you decide that you want to work yourself towards a $6,000 profit target, right? Let's say that, for example. Well, let's make it simple. $5,000, right? $5,000 profit target. You want to get there, and then maybe you're going to consider taking a payout. You wouldn't want to have any one single day be larger than $1,000, which is 20% of $5,000. This is through wins, losses. It doesn't matter. When you get past the minimum payout amount, which is $3,000 in the 150K, it's 2%, you have to make sure that you don't have any one single day be larger than 20% of whatever that amount is, okay? So again, it's pretty simple to follow, and what I would recommend to most guys, decide on the front end, have an idea of where you want to work yourself towards in this account, right? Do you want to get to, the $10,000 mark to try to request a $5,000 payout? Are you going to look to take a payout at, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, somewhere in that range? Divide that number by 5, and that's the number that you don't want to go over throughout your trading, back and forth into profit or loss on any one single day, right? Because if you do, then you're going to have to make more money in the total amount of the account in order to take a payout and meet that 20% consistency rule. So again, it's pretty simple. It essentially prevents you from being a home run hitter and to have one massive day of profit. It is a little bit restrictive, and guys that are home run hitters may struggle with this, right? I'm going to talk about, just kind of the nuances of them. You can't get into the account, have a $10,000 day, and then take a payout. You have to at least have 20%, which means a bare minimum of 5, usually 6 days of trading, okay? Obviously, right? If you traded for 2 days and you made $2,000 on each day, you had $4,000 in the account, each day would make up 50% of your profit. You would not meet the 20% consistency rule. So that's what that is. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Max accounts. You can only trade 3 accounts with Top 1 Futures. That's the max. You can copy trade them. Again, this is a lot of working capital in each account. The rule set to get towards a payout, I think, is very, very solid, right? Very flexible. It's in favor of the trader, but they are limiting you in certain areas. Consistency rule, 3 max accounts. Those are wider on other firms, but again, maybe the price is different. Maybe the max drawdown, the type of trailing drawdown is all different as well. What you have to do to get towards a payout as well. So let's just kind of continue down on the site. So we'll just take a look at this area real quick, kind of a comparison that they have, directly on their site. We'll look at the Top 1 Futures deal. Instant funding option, solid, simple, with no hidden rules. Optional daily drawdown, right? That daily loss limit, you're able to take it off. End of day drawdown. They note news here. News trading is allowed, right? We'll dig through the frequently asked questions so we can get through this. Sim profit split. So we start to talk about payouts right here. 100% up to 20K and then 90%. So you're requesting and getting 100% of your first 20K. There's no profit split that eats into that up until 20K. Then it moves to 90% past that first 20,000. Comprehensive trading course, path to live after 3 payouts. They have a clear path to be considered for live. It doesn't mean you automatically get into a live account, but you're considered for live after 3 payouts from the same account. On-demand payout option, again, being able to have that flexibility where you don't have to wait for a payout window or a certain amount of days. They are stating payout processing time, less than 4 hours on average. Support 24/7 live chat or email support. Support response time less than 60 seconds on average. Scale your live funds up to 2.5 million. They have a really, really awesome live scaling plan that again scales with you up to 2.5 million. So again, let's just jump right to the top, and we will look at the frequently asked questions. And I want to note this to you guys where it is, right on the homepage, right? Frequently asked questions. And whether you're looking at Top 1 Futures, this firm, or any other firm, this is typically where you are able to dig into detail on every single rule and take a look at other things that might influence your trading, right? Some stuff is obvious. We kind of always want to look at news. We want to look at minimum hold times, which is on here as well. But you can just take a quick look through. So I'm going to scroll through some of these. I'm going to try to do a deep dive into anything that we didn't touch on already or anything that we want to look at, because there's a couple on here. But again, this is where your responsibility as a trader, a prop firm trader, comes in to do your due diligence and work through every single one of these. I think before you put any money on the line, you really do want to understand the rule set, what you have to do, the conditions in order to make it to a payout, and not have something be a surprise on the back end. We talk about the number of accounts, and I'm going to scroll through some of these pretty quickly. You can have 3 accounts at any time. Yes, you can have different account sizes. You cannot merge your accounts into one account. If you reach the 3 and you close account, you can open up a new account. Yep, that makes sense. And on your dashboard is where you're going to be able to see the number of accounts that you have. So we really talked about this. For an additional 20% of the account price, you can add on the no daily loss limit. That's pretty self-explanatory. You should have an idea of what a daily loss limit is. We broke it down right off the beginning. We're not going to talk about the challenge accounts, right? I'm just going to stick to the straight to funded accounts, so we kind of can condense this video. Maybe we'll do a separate video about that one. Maximum contracts, that's very simple. You cannot have any position on across all of your trades on any single account that exceeds the maximum, which is 15 minis or 150 micros. We're not going to talk about subscriptions because in the instant funded program, there are no subscriptions. You pay one price. That's it. There's no activation. There's no monthly rebill. None of that stuff. If you want to take a look at the instruments you could trade, hop right on this page. You'll see it. You do have to KYC, right? You have to go through KYC verification. That's important. Another thing on here is if you're from a different country than the US or any country really, you want to hop on here and make sure that your country is not on the list of countries that you can't trade with. This will go into detail on the commissions and fees. In my humble opinion, I'll let you look at this yourself, really to dig into this, because it's a PDF that gets very nuanced. It's extremely aggressive. Comparing against maybe like something not on Project X, it's extremely aggressive. Having traded with a couple different firms, I've noticed that firms that operate on the Project X platform have a very, very, very low fee structure. Fee and commission structure. But you dig into that and take a look at it again. I'm going to try to get through some of these and kind of pause when we get to the important stuff. Daily drawdown, it's end of day. We understand that. The drawdown lock. Can you trade news? We talked about that. You can trade news overnight. So this is important to recognize. You can't hold trades overnight. You have to be closed by 4 p.m. Until the market opens for the next trading session. So you have to be closed. If you leave a trade running, it's liquidated at 4 p.m. No overnight holding rule. That's important to note if you're coming from Forex or something like that. No EAs and bots. Not able to use EAs and bots or automated stuff like that. Inactivity rule, right? So here's an important one. So in the funded account, in the sim funded account, you have an inactivity rule of 14 days. And I'm going to make this really simple to you guys. You got to open and close at least one trade once a week in order to stay active. That is the goal that I would aim for. I'd set a reminder if you're stepping away, if you're traveling, maybe you do it on a mobile. If you're not going to make this, hit them up, shoot them an email, talk to them. Can I place a single trade for the entire week? Here you go. Yes, as long as you place at least one trade between Monday and Friday, you meet the requirements of the inactivity rule. It is a hard breach, which means the account's closed if you don't meet that. Again, they send you an email. I note this for being on the back end. They do send you an email if you are getting close to it, but it is a hard breach rule. It's something that they have, inactivity rule. Make sure you're taking a trade, once a week to avoid that. And I think if you get yourself into a bad situation, maybe there's, injury or traveling somewhere where you can't trade, I would reach out to them, right? I'd contact them. I'm not going to go into extreme detail with the path to live funding, But just to kind of, because it is a lot, and I'm going to do a whole video just on what this looks like, getting into a live funded account. But there is a clear path to live with a whole bunch of benefits that you can read right here just very briefly. After 3 payouts from the same account, you are considered for a live account. And that's important to know. Obviously, on the front end, we're talking about getting towards a payout in the first place, any payout. And then as you continue down, this is, of course, important to know. Follow-up video coming for me. Look for it in the near future if you're watching this one. And maybe I'll link it right here if I have it to check out the full details on moving to a live account. Talked about inactivity. Here you go. So we have our countries rule, right? If you're from, any other country of the US, I would make sure you check this site real quick. Take a look that you're not on the restricted countries list. I'm not going to rattle every single one off, but there it is. Prohibited trading practices. This is an important one, right? We're going to talk about, we're just going to talk briefly about this. I'm going to point out some that are really, something that you really would want to know about, that you want to be cautious of and be aware of. So just take a look. These strategies are prohibited across all top 1 futures accounts. So basic stuff like exploiting errors or latency in pricing or platforms, intentionally exploiting some issue, front-running trades placed somewhere else, hedging one account to the other internally or other firms or brokers. So, hedging, not going to be allowed. That's an obvious one. You can't let anybody else trade your account, right? That's just an obvious no-brainer. That happens a lot, that people do that and then they're upset about it. Your friend can't trade your account. You can't send your login information to somebody else. Nobody can trade your account except for you. Let them get their own account. Here's an important one. This is a really important one to take a look at. Minimum trade time rule. There's a 10-second minimum hold time rule. They want you to hold your trades for at least 10 seconds. Now, the immediate question, it's pretty obvious, right? Immediate question is, if you don't hold the trade for 10 seconds, do you automatically lose the account? Are you going to not be able to be eligible for a payout? Are you immediately penalized? The answer there is no. And here it is stated pretty clearly. Occasional violations are understandable and won't immediately result in any penalties. Okay, so you open a trade, it rockets to your take profit and stop loss. That happens a few times while you're trading. My understanding reading this rule here is that's fine. Consistently opening and closing trades in less than 10 seconds may lead to profit removal or disqualification. So again, they are looking at hyper scalpers, really, really low time frame scalpers. And again, you might read this and say, Zach, that just does not work for me. I trade super aggressively. I'm scalping for one tick, whatever your deal is, and that doesn't work for me. That's totally, I totally understand that. I think you need to make that conscious decision and say, hey, maybe this is just not the spot for me if that is, primarily how I'm trading, that type of deal. So again, they kind of explain, why they do that, what that is. Again, they're talking about also scaling in and out, right? So if you're adding to trades and scaling in and out of trades, again, you want to be cautious with that total time that you're in the trade, right? That's, that's important. Trade in any way that jeopardizes relationship, okay, to the broker, that's kind of basic. I'm just going to read through these quick with you guys. Any third-party strategies marked to pass your challenge. You can't have anybody trade your account. And this is an interesting one. Rolling churning of accounts. Account rolling, also known as churning, refers to the practice of acquiring multiple evaluation accounts within a short amount of time, using various trading strategies to pass one or more accounts while allowing others to fail. This practice is strictly prohibited. So again, what they're looking at there is guys that are just going to rip through accounts. And while they're talking about evaluation accounts, the way that I understand this is going to, this is going to apply to all accounts, right? Kind of coming up here to the top and them saying this, is prohibited across all accounts. So if you are ripping through accounts, trading them wildly aggressively, they're not going to allow that. They're going to put a stop to that. Their goal is not to go for the churn and burn type of deal and just allow you to YOLO accounts until one hits. Consistency rule steps in to make sure that doesn't happen. But if you're just ripping through accounts, they're going to put a stop to that. That's what they're being clear with there. Okay, continuing through, again, no trading bots, no EAs, copy group trading. So you're allowed to copy trade, obviously, your 3 accounts that you have, but you're not allowed to be in one huge group of people Copy trading, following a signals, plan where multiple traders are executing similar trades on similar time frames is prohibited. You're not allowed to group copy trade. That's a big thing in like this Forex world where there's 1,000 people all taking the same trades at the same times. Obviously, you're not allowed to do that. They have back end stuff to identify that. So that's a pretty big explanation of a lot of their prohibited trading practices. And just to continue through, taking a couple looks because we want to talk about payouts, elite accounts, sim-funded accounts. This talks about the consistency rule. We broke that down on the front end. Talks about the trailing drawdown. We talk about end-of-day trailing drawdown. There are no scaling requirements, so you don't have to start to make money before you can trade, the full size. You're just allowed to trade the full size. And this kind of just gives you, an overview of the overall program. So we can look at real quick a couple things on here, which is going to be nope, not on this one. So we're going to take a look at payouts on this. Let's jump right to the payouts. Here we go. What is required in order to request a payout? This is the important piece here. So you have to meet the 20% consistency rule, right? And achieve 2% of your profit from your starting balance between every payout, right? So here's the deal. Are there profit targets that you need to hit? No. But there's a 2% minimum profit requirement in order to take the payout, right? So that essentially is your profit target at a bare minimum. So here you go. On the 150K account that we're talking about, you have to have at least 2% of your starting balance, which is $3,000. Okay? Are there minimum trading days? There's no minimum trading days as long as you don't have the 14 calendar day window, as long as you meet the 2% profit rule and the consistency rule. Very simple. Here you go. We're talking about payout frequency. Standard is every 14 calendar days. Anytime payout is anytime. But again, this 2% profit and the 20% is going to essentially act as a minimum 5 to 6 days. Like we talked about, you can't make all your profit and withdraw in one day. You would have a 100% consistency. It wouldn't work. So can I withdraw everything all at once? Here you go. There's a maximum payout until live rule, right? Which states that single payouts based on account size. We're going to look at that in a second. Once you transition to a live account, there's no restrictions on withdrawal amounts. So there's no cap on overall withdrawals, but there's a max payout on each payout that you take from the 150K, which is $5,000, until you get to the live account. So that's an important one. But we're going to dig through. Let's look at that one next. This talks about the profit split. We understand 100% up to 20K. Payout time frame explained. We kind of digs into that. If you need more details on that page is going to provide it. Let's look at maximum payout until live. So here we go. What's the max payout, right? We know the minimum payout is $3,000. Here it is right here. 150K, $5,000 max payout, maximum per payout, right? So when you go to take your first payout, you're either going to be between $3,000 and $5,000. $3,000 being the minimum, $5,000 being the maximum, right? You have to get over that amount, and you have to make the 20% consistency rule. That's the deal. So that's pretty straightforward. I think it's important to understand that you're only ever going to be able to take $5,000 out at every payout from the 150K account for 3 payouts until you get to be considered to live, and then there is more information in the live payouts. So. That's kind of the deal on the payout. If you have questions on it, feel free, ask, throw it in the comments. We'll kind of talk about that. But here's an important one we'll take a look at as well. This is where your drawdown locks after your payout. So this is important to note, especially for your first payout. Let's see if we have a 150K. No, we'll look at some examples. Your maximum trailing drawdown locks when you take a payout at the starting balance plus $100. So when you take a payout from your 150K account, no matter what amount you had in there and what your max trailing drawdown was before you took the payout, it locks at $150,100. So they got a couple examples on these 50K accounts. Let's take a look at it real quick. Let's say you have initial balance of $50,000. Your balance after the gains is $51,000. You take a payout of $500. Your drawdown is now locked at that initial balance plus $100. Your maximum drawdown locks at $51,100. Okay. you only now have $400 of drawdown, right? Again, look at an example where, we're taking different amounts out of the account. And essentially, this is important to recognize because you start with $6,000 of max loss limit in that 150K account, right? If you work yourself, let's say, to $4,000 and then request a $3,000 payout, you're leaving yourself with a small amount to work with in that account because your max loss limit is now, it's not what it was before where you still had that plenty of room to work. It's now locked at $150,100. You cannot go below that amount. So all you have left in there is the profit that you left in that account after the payout. So it's important to recognize you don't have this sim capital to work with after your first payout. And that's important to recognize when you go to take a payout. How much do you want to have left in the account when you pull money out? That decides whether or not you're really going to be putting that first, that account at risk. So again, they talk about that. Leave some gains as a buffer. Consider growing your account before you take a further payout. It's important to recognize how that trails and then what happens as you take a payout. So again, this page does a good explanation of it. If you have questions, come back here and take a look at it. So talking about payout methods, they actually pay out in crypto, but I think most guys are going to take it as a bank transfer. And as far as getting logged into Project X, getting logged in and set up to Project X, this page is going to walk you through exactly how to do that. Along with that, if you haven't seen it already, I released a tutorial on all of this fun stuff with Project X. My chart setup, the components, all a bunch of different features with Project X. I'll go ahead and link it right there. That is the only platform set up with Top 1 futures right now. If you're going to trade with Top 1, you're going to trade with the Project X platform. Again, that can be a massive benefit for guys like me that love it, or potentially a drawback if you like using Tradeovate or Ninja or some other platform. So last piece I want to show down here, guys, is if you have questions, if you want to reach out to Top 1 Futures, directly, you can contact them through this site. You can also join their free Discord. They have they have moderators in there, not bots, ready to answer questions, provide information. I think it's a great community where there's a lot of people active in there asking questions, right? Newer firm, everybody wants to have things that are, explained to them. Maybe they're just not understanding it. Reach out to them if you have questions on the front end, hit them in Discord, and hop in my free Discord, ask me questions, on the, below this video, anything that I can try to help you guys out with. And if you are ready to get set up, test this stuff out for yourself, you do your due diligence, you make your own decision, code RDF and/or the link in this video gets you the best deal on these accounts, 50% off, and a chance to win one of 5 50K elite accounts. They are the evaluation accounts, but every purchase gets you an entry to win. Remember, guys, I'm an affiliate here. I'm partnered. I cannot be unbiased. It's important I be transparent about that. I stand to make money, and the definition of being biased, comes from that piece there. Along with that, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing you see or hear from me is financial advice. I'm just an idiot on YouTube talking for entertainment purposes only. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links in my content and codes like RDF. Talk to you guys soon. See you trading live on YouTube, 9:30 a.m. almost every day. Thanks for tuning in, and check out this Project X tutorial series next.